Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM, The Fan. Follow me on Twitter at Sparky Radio. He is Ryan Horvat, smiling. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan Horvat. BetMGM tonight. Weeknights with Nick Shue and Trista Crick. Of course, catch him Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on The Fan in Milwaukee. If you are in the area, you can check him out there with BetQL, tailgate to kickoff. And make sure to check him out. I listened to him this last Saturday morning. I usually listen to him most Saturday mornings because usually I'm in the car between 8 and 9 a.m. every Saturday. So I get a chance to listen to my guy, Ryan Horvat. Always good stuff, always giving you advice. Most of the time, you're winning money if you just listen to what Ryan Horvat says. Okay, Ryan Horvat, Packers get the win 38-20 before we get really in depth and kind of go at this thing. Your thoughts initially of what you saw?
I try to enjoy, like I said, a nice week one victory over the Chicago Bears, and I can't even enjoy it, or I can't even be critical of the play calling early on from Matt LaFleur, or else Packer Nation, Jordan Love Nation, comes at me like I'm ripping Jordan Love. I'm not ripping Jordan Love. How positive have I been about Jordan Love on this podcast for the last 3.5 months? Yeah, there's Gary Ellerson calling me a Packer hater. I hate the organization. We need Gary. Either I got to go on his podcast or he needs to man up and come on this podcast. You need to
go on his and Leroy's.
I am so sick of this social media back and forth. I can't explain myself, okay? Like, Jordan Love looked good. Also, Jordan Love did throw from a clean pocket the entire game.
As he should all year, I would assume.
Right. That's the benefit behind, playing behind a great offensive line with Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari fully healthy. He looked great yesterday. But I could be critical of Matt LaFleur's play calling and still love Matt LaFleur, right? Like, I could be critical at times of Jordan Love. I was critical of Aaron Rodgers all of last season. I thought he was dumb. He was quarterback number 20 in the National Football League. Yet tonight, there I'll be with my Jets Aaron Rodgers shirt on, just the same way that I was wearing my Jordan Love shirt yesterday. Feel the love. So didn't even get to barely enjoy it, man. But all right, my biggest takeaways, really quick. Defensive side of the ball. That's exactly what we wanted to see, right? More press man coverage. They were physical. The pass rush, they were in Justin Fields' face all day long. They didn't get killed by Cole Kmet. Defense looked really, really good. They looked aggressive. Wyatt making plays. Van Ness had his first sack, made a hell of a play on Justin Fields. Rashawn Gary, I want to say, I don't have it in front of me. I should. I know. I just got back from the gym, though. Busy day. I think there was 10 snaps that he played where Justin Fields dropped back. And I want to say Rashawn Gary was in the backfield on 5 of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Yep. Right? That's just off the top of my head. He's a freaking monster. I told you that's what I was most confident in, though, was that he was not going to skip a beat coming off that ACL. And then on the offensive side of the ball, so Jordan Love looked very good, throwing from a clean pocket, made all the throws, right? Nothing to complain about there, especially when you got to consider the fact that Christian Watson didn't go. Romeo Doubs was dinged up, still caught a touchdown. All the young guys looked pretty good. Offensive line was great. My only complaint, again, now I understand why they're making phone calls for Jonathan Taylor. I'd give up probably a second-round pick. I've changed my mind for Jonathan Taylor. If I have to see A.J. Dillon carry the ball 13 times for 19 yards, they don't know how to use them, and even when they do know how to use them, use those big-ass legs for something. Aaron Jones is a $185 soaking wet, and he runs harder. All right? And this is what Ellerson keeps talking about, this pitch count. I'm fine. Get Patrick Taylor more carries. Like, if something's not working, stop going to it. And for the last 3 years, there's this fantasy world. And I know if you look at, the grading, right, as far as efficiency, you could see A.J. Dillon top 10. But, eyeball tests, man. Take away the nerd stats, right? He's a big dude. Yesterday, he's getting brought down by 1-2 guys. Have you ever seen Mike Allstott back in the day, Jerome Bettis?
Derrick Henry.
Even now, he's led the league in rushing attempts for the last 5 years. He's not getting taken down by one guy. The A.J. Dillon experiment needs to be over. It doesn't even need to be Jonathan Taylor with that offensive line. I know they're better pass blockers than run blockers. Get anybody in there, man. Because my only complaint, again, I'm tweeting out, where the hell is Aaron Jones? And I don't want to hear about this pitch count. And I know he fumbles in big games, and whenever he takes a big hit, he's on the sideline getting stretched out. But then, figure out something else. Because I promise A.J. Dillon ain't it. That's my only complaint, though.
I don't disagree with you as far as being disappointed in Dillon. But when Jones had that touchdown and he grabbed his hamstring, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Okay, really quick on that. Really quick. I hate that because I thought he was doing. Sometimes they do that stupid, the Greg Jennings carrying the the team on my back thing. You know that like we're playing Madden. Guys do that all the time now in college, especially where they come up like and it's a celebration. And I was thinking, oh man, is he really hurt? Because there goes the season right down the pooper right before we even get going. Or is this like an injury, or is he doing a celebration? But yeah, go on. But yeah.
You're right. What you just said is right. If they lose Aaron Jones, this offense changes dramatically. Like everything LaFleur planned in the offseason, and I mean, I don't know if he has a plan B as far as, okay, if Jones gets hurt, we're going to this. This is what we're going to change, and we're going to look totally different. But if Jones stays healthy, which is where our preferred option is, this is how this offense is going to look. The amount of pressure that would be put on Jordan Love if Aaron Jones can't play is going to be immense. Now, it doesn't appear this kid is bothered by pressure, is bothered by anything. And I love hearing him after the game talk about how he was visualizing all day Saturday about running off the field after a win and how they're going to play good. Woke up Sunday morning, still visualizing. And you hear a lot of these great athletes and you hear some of these psychologists talk. They talk about visualization being such a big thing in sports, whether it be individual sports or team sports or whatever. And to hear him talking that way, that was cool. Now, let's talk about Jordan Love versus Justin Fields. I don't know exactly what Justin Fields is supposed to look like. That was start 26, I believe, for Justin Fields. And he looked no different than last year to me. That offense doesn't look that much different than it looked in the preseason. Still just dinking and dunking, throwing screen passes, hoping guys can break tackles and get upfield. Trying to run the ball, and they don't have great running backs necessarily. They're not horrible, but they're not great. So you don't have that benefit necessarily going either at this point. Jordan Love makes his second career start. Mind you, he's been watching. I know, for 3 years. I get it. But he looked like more composed. He has a better offensive line. Fine. And I'll argue, and you may disagree with me, but DJ Moore is better than any wide receiver the Packers had on the field yesterday. By far, not close. And DJ Moore after the game was like, well, they were rolling coverage to me. Jair Alexander's like, yeah, he had 2 catches, but what else did you think was going to happen with I'm guarding him? That's just Jair. But they have other guys like Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney. There are other players. Chase Claypool is possibly the worst blocking wide receiver I've ever seen come out of a Pittsburgh Steelers organization in my life. God, he sucks. But besides that, what are they doing? I don't really understand. And then you listen to the score in Chicago, like I was listening this morning, and they're going after Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, and saying, well, it's his fault, da-da-da-da-da.
You're right.
And I'm listening to Brad Biggs down there in Chicago and the media personalities, and he's going, guys, there's no way a check down was the first or second option for a wide receiver. And if you look at his passes, 45% of them were to running backs. Okay, so some of them were screens, but a lot of them were check downs to backs because guys weren't open. That is scheming guys open. Say whatever you want about Matt LaFleur, like him, dislike him, but there were some dudes getting open within the play designs that he had. And they gave LaFleur credit after the game for that, and they should give him credit. LaFleur, man, he's legit. I know it's all, without Aaron Rodgers. Well, there was no Aaron Rodgers. He didn't have Christian Watson, and guys were still running free.
Timeout though. See, here's where I love week 1 overreaction, because here's my week 1 overreaction. If I'm a Bears fan, they may be bad enough for Caleb Williams or Drake May. That's actually scary. That's scary as a Packer fan though.
Or Marvin Harrison Jr. if they want to stick with Justin Fields.
And I don't think they're going to want to, unfortunately, man. He still look like the same one-read quarterback. You know what I mean? And that's my problem. But here's the thing, right? I'm not ready to write off Justin Fields because he's a hell of a football player, and I think there's a lot of talent. I think in the right system, I think he could be better than Brock Purdy and be a MVP candidate if he's in San Francisco. If they draft Justin Fields and he's in that Shanahan offense, I think he's way better than Trey Lance, right? I'm not ready to write him off, but I mean, I'm getting pretty close to saying he's not the guy in Chicago. I can tell you who's not the guy in Chicago. It's Luke Getsy, and I can tell you whose coaching tree sucks. It's Matt LaFleur. I'm with you. Matt LaFleur, I don't really want to throw him under the bus for the A.J. Dillon stuff because maybe he's just working with the straps he was given as 2-pound one. You know what I mean? But you need a different power back. You need you need that goal line. He's going to fight for the tough yards. Power back.
In Algier in Atlanta.
Yes, because it ain't AJ Dillon. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, he had some beautiful play designs. Like maybe that's why they were. I joked like, oh, that's where Aaron Jones was. They were just saving up for this play. You know, when he hits them with the Jordan Love with that little screen pass
on the other side of the field, Ryan. On the other side of the field, he threw that.
He set that up. Well, he set that up perfectly all game long. That was beautiful. There was a lot of beautiful play designs from Matt LaFleur. He's definitely the best on his coaching tree. But what we're finding out, man, Luke Getsy ain't it. Nathaniel Hackett sure as crap ain't it. He's Rodgers' puppet. So I'm not ready to write off Justin Fields, but Luke Getsy's bad. Like, Darnell Mooney's actually had really good success against Jair Alexander, and they had Alexander over there. It's just like the play designs from Chicago were terrible. There was no creativity. The offensive line still was a mess. It was a lot of Justin Fields running for his life, trying to make plays. So I don't want to throw it all on him. But nobody, like, if you're a Bears fan, what do you feel good about this morning? I didn't see anything.
Not defensively, they weren't good defensively either. I mean, neither aspect of their game really played all that well. Yes, the Packers didn't move the ball necessarily after that first touchdown to the end of the half, but a lot of that was self-inflicted wounds, penalties. And LaFleur talked about that. Like, I can't call plays when we're keeping in the negative after first down. Like, that has to stop in order for us to be able to get some type of drives, because you can't get into a rhythm as a play caller if you're getting a penalty and it's 1st and 15. 1st and 20, and now you're trying to get yourself out of a hole. You can't run your offense.
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm a Bears fan, like, I don't feel awful though this morning, because sure, Jordan Love's better than Justin Fields most likely. Sure, the Packers are still better than the Bears. We have a real defense. They don't. But you may be bad enough to get a life-changing quarterback in Caleb Williams. I saw somebody's like, well, what's the difference between Caleb Williams and Justin Fields? Caleb Williams plays behind a really good offensive line at USC. Yeah, Caleb Williams, like, please watch football. He's going to be good, I promise you. And Drake May is going to be good too. And who the hell knows, man? Like, what if you get that Quinn Ewers the rest of the year?
Texas, yeah.
What if you get Michael Penix making every single throw and staying healthy? What if Bo Nix is really, like, this is the year if you're going to suck. You brought up Marvin Harrison. Maybe you figure out Justin Fields is your guy. I don't know. It's too early to write off the Bears. It's not too early to feel good about the Packers. Let me throw one more takeaway. I can't believe I didn't lead off with this. This was number 1 in my notes. Darnell Savage Jr. I said the experiment should be over. I've changed my mind. That was the best Darnell Savage Jr. that we've seen. I'm not even going to say since his rookie year. We haven't seen that since Maryland. That was awesome. He was aggressive. He played like a guy that knows that, like, he's been reading the press clippings and he knows his job's on the line. He may be out of the league. He may be in the USFL. He may be a DC defender in 2 years if he doesn't get his crap together. He was awesome. The secondary was really good. Rasul Douglas.
I don't know about Ford. I don't know about Ford.
It's week 1, man. He was graded out their 3rd best defender last year. He's earned like a longer leash, I'll say.
Okay.
I like this. I know Rasul Douglas like commits a bunch of penalties and he's a dog, though, man. Like, when he got matched up on tight ends a couple times there. Oh, and one last question. I know I'm all over the place, but here's another thing I was thinking of in the 3rd quarter, man. Why the hell do the Bears have 15 tight ends on their roster if they're not going to use any of them? Did you see Tunyon or like Mercedes Lewis?
Tunyon was hurt. So he was hurt going into the game. There was a whole question if he was even going to play or whatever the case may be. Tunyon was hurt going into that game.
Well, screw them for leaving him on the roster, because I bet him to score a revenge touchdown because it was 150-1. So I bet like $10 on it to try to get rich, thinking Packers can't cover tight ends. We know what Bobby Tunyon can do. He could catch touchdowns in the red zone.
Yep.
And that's the thing, though. Like, the Bears have guys. What the hell were they doing yesterday? That like, I felt like watching that game. That was like me playing Nathan, my 10-year-old in Madden. Like, I'm running all this like creative stuff, pre-snap motion, calling audibles and stuff, and he's just like dropping back Justin Fields and running quarterback design stuff and chucking into the back of, no.
You look at these two teams right now. You want to talk about one that could fall off a cliff and the other that could build confidence. Like, not only are we going to win the division, we're going to be a problem, because this Packers early schedule, as we talked about in the offseason, they could get off to a 4-1 start, right? Something like that. And if they get off to like a 4-1 start, the rest of the NFC is going, uh-oh, here we go again. Here come the Pack. Meanwhile, because the Packers get Atlanta, we're going to have Dear Orlando Ledbetter, who covers the Packers for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, formerly of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel 100 years ago, and I used to read his column all the time. He'll be on Wednesday to talk about the Falcons. But my point is, the Bears, on the other hand, they go to Tampa now. If they lose that game in Tampa, their next game is at Arrowhead. They could be 0-3 and go like, holy crap, we suck again. Like losing one game, fine. But if you go lose to Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, got to win against the Vikings, if Baker Mayfield now comes back and beats the Bears and they're 0-3 after 3 weeks and the Packers are, I don't know, 3-0, something like that, this is going to be Packers and Lions throughout the year going back and forth trying to figure this whole thing out. I don't know what everybody thought they were going to see in Jordan Love or what they thought they were going to see in this Packers offense. But you say overreaction Monday. I'll make my overreaction. And maybe it's a complete overreaction. He's going to put up better numbers than Rodgers did last year. I'll start there. Jordan Love will have better numbers than Aaron Rodgers had last year for the Packers. I think by the end of the season, he's going to put up better numbers.
I hope, or else we got big issues. Rodgers wasn't very good last year, and he had a broken thumb on his throwing hand. So if Jordan Love with 2 healthy hands can't have a better, season than a 37-year-old that was beat up, that clearly had no interest in playing football for the Green Bay Packers last year once his boy Devontae got traded, whatever. Hey, really good point, though. So the NFC North, all right? I think Detroit's for real. They just beat the defending champs. Granted, though, there's no Chris Jones on that field and no Travis Kelce. Those are 2 of the best football players, not on the Chiefs, in the world. So that makes a huge difference. Oh, I'm going to watch it again right when we get done with this podcast. Skull! 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 Brrr. Baker Mayfield comes to town. I told you, Tampa's either going to be a disaster or they're going to be last year's Seattle, where they still got some dudes.
Yep.
And everybody's writing off Baker. Baker, when healthy, took the Browns to the playoffs, and they beat the Steelers. Baker, when healthy, was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Baker had one really crappy year in Cleveland because he tried to make a tackle on an interception and separated his shoulder and played through it. You know what I mean? Now, he's not great. You know what I mean? Like, I would have him way below Jordan Love. But Tampa might surprise some people. And Minnesota's defense is bad. And Justin Jefferson after the game was pissed. And Justin Jefferson isn't going to work out a deal during the season. That's what I want, Goot. Give us Justin Jefferson. If I can have anything in this world, give us Justin Jefferson.
They're going to franchise tag that dude twice before he gets out of there.
But Sparky, the Vikings suck. The Bears, disaster. So all we got to really worry about is the Lions. And let's say we split with the Lions. It's not even about winning the NFC North. You watch these teams in the NFC yesterday. I know we're going to talk with Orlando coming up later on this week. Really high on Atlanta, but Desmond Ridder is still Desmond Ridder. I'd rather have Jordan Love. Packers might be, I bet the win total over 7.5. This might be a 10-win team. Again, this is overreaction week 1. But if the defense looks like this, here's the thing. I'm rooting for I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good year for the Jets. But I think Jordan Love is a better fit for this Packers team. And I think this Packers team is better with Jordan Love than they would have been with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers instantly makes the Jets a Super Bowl contender. I think Jordan Love instantly makes the Packers a true contender in the NFC North. Because now we're seeing that yesterday was the LaFleur offense. Awesome. There was some really creative stuff. I still would like a little bit more Aaron Jones. And if he's going to be on a pitch count, try out these other backs because A.J. Dillon ain't it. I mean, I guess you could give them another shot against Atlanta's defense, but Atlanta spent a bunch of money on their defense, and they looked pretty good yesterday, especially in the secondary. Jesse Bates had 2 picks. So if A.J. Dillon ain't it, let's stop that experiment now, because now it's, year 3, and I know you used the second-round pick, but if he ain't it, he ain't it. But I don't know, man. Everything we saw yesterday, these young guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that's what I like is – going into the year, a lot of people are like, well, what's Van Ness's role? Just like when we talked about when they drafted Rashawn Gary and they had Preston and Zadarius Smith. Look at these teams that actually win, especially in the NFC North, like the Eagles a couple years ago. Granted, it's in the AFC, or in the NFC. The Giants teams that were beating the Patriots, they weren't winning because Eli Manning was a better quarterback than Brady. You know what I mean? The Eagles didn't win that Super Bowl because Nick Foles was a better quarterback than Tom Brady. They won those Super Bowls because they had 6 or 7 pass rushers that they could rotate. Like Chris Long would only play third downs on those teams. Yep. Now the Packers have that. Rashawn Gary's the real deal. Van Ness looks good. Preston Smith should have a bounce back year. I hope to see more of that from Wyatt. Now you're using Kenny Clark a different way. Packers just got guys on the defensive side of the ball, and the offense is going to be fun. And every week, kind of like the Eagles last year, I think the Eagles, if you watch that game against the Patriots, they didn't look very good after the first quarter. And like even the first quarter, they had big turnovers. Darius Slay had a pick 6. Offense looked very bland. The Packers could be like the Eagles this year, where you don't know every week, man, you have no idea what the hell to expect from them.
I agree. I don't disagree with anything that you necessarily said at this point. The Giants, they got their butts kicked.
Told you the Cowboys are for real.
Yeah, and the Giants are done. I'll put that right now. I said last week Daniel Jones ain't going to be Daniel Jones as he was last year, and I'm still going to stick with that until proven otherwise. This is the other thing for me on this Packers game as we talk about the Packers over the Bears 38-20. Takeaways from week 1. Don't forget, download Curtin Long podcast and where you download your Odyssey on your Odyssey app or anywhere you download your favorite podcast at. Also streaming this bad boy live on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page each and every time we do it. And today streaming it at Sparky Radio too. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of these young guys and kind of how they played in general. So Quay Walker, second year. Dude, not only was that interception sweet, Ryan Horvat, dude, he trucked. Who was that? I think that was a running back. He trucked that running back, 23, I think it was, for the Bears. And then that dude got up and chased Quay Walker all the way down the field. Never caught him until he got to the end zone. But that interception was sweet. But the return, I think, was even sweeter than the interception. And Walker was a guy that you really didn't hear much from in training camp. Nobody was really talking about Quay Walker. Preseason games, nope, not really talking about Quay Walker. And week 1 comes, and Quay Walker, probably the nail in the coffin moment of the game, I guess, for the Packers, where you just pretty much put the nail in the Bears' coffin and said, this one is officially over after that Quay Walker play. And that's what you need Quay Walker to do. You need him to make big impact plays like Clay Matthews used to do in big moments. You need that from Quay Walker now.
Yeah. And like, I like Quay Walker once Quay Walker is at his best when he could just go out there and just make plays, right? Like he doesn't have to think too much. He just goes out there, flies to the ball because he's a playmaker. He's a dog out there. That's what we like about him. You just wanted him to mature a little bit. He was a rookie last year, but obviously, you can't be fighting assistant coaches and trainers and stuff like that. But like you said, the pick was great. And especially when that's what this team needs. I said that before the year. If this team is going to win 10, 11 games or compete in the NFC, they're going to have to take the football away. And I mean, that's so hard to rely on every single week. But, I mean, if they take away the football, picks, strip sacks, stuff that we saw yesterday, this is going to be a good football team. And like you said, the move that he made after, I mean, where has this kind of stuff been like the last decade plus when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback of the Packers? That was the whole thing. Like, selfishly, I kept for him and stuff. I kept thinking, man, why didn't the defense play like this last year?
Well, it's game 1. Settle down.
Where was this? Minnesota, week 1 last year.
But right, it's. I mean, let's be fair here. If you're going to overreact one way or the other, to me, you can overreact and be wrong more about the defense than you can overreact and be wrong about the Packers offense. In my mind, like what the Packers in an offense more than likely is probably kind of be what they are. The way they ran the football, the way they used the screen game, the way they used Aaron Jones, that's kind of going to be what it is, right? Defensively, I don't know. Because the Bears offense sucks. So I don't know how much I'm supposed to buy into what the Packers defense looked like yesterday. Let me see what they do against, and again, another bad quarterback and Ritter coming up. But let me see if they can stop Bijan Robinson and Algier from putting up 200 yards against them in week 2. Let me see what that looks like, because run defense has always been a thing for them, right? They've always struggled in run defense. Can they cover Kyle Pitts? Tight end. Can they cover Kyle Pitts? Let's see what they do against Atlanta. Can they stop the run? Can they stop Pitts? If they do it in week 2, then maybe we got something with the Packers. I'm not as ready to jump up and celebrate the Packers defense like I am the Packers offense.
I don't know. I think I am. So that was a great interception, pick 6, obviously. Great move. But is he okay? Because he was also being evaluated for a concussion.
Walked off.
Yeah, I know, but but the problem is he going to be available, especially with the new concussion protocol for week 2 against Atlanta? That's a guy that you're going to need out there, especially like you said, with the run concepts. Geez, it's Monday with Arthur Smith drawing up those plays. But yeah, Quay looked good, defense looked good. But right, let's see when they step up in class. Let's see what they do against a really good Atlanta offense. Let's see what they do against that Saints offense. Although that Saints offense didn't look great. Probably should have lost to Tennessee yesterday. That's what I'm saying, though. Sure, we got to pump the brakes because it's just the Bears, but you still blew out a team on their home field that had all summer to prepare for you, man.
And a rivalry game.
And you're a young ass team, like the youngest wide receiver room in the league, and you didn't even have your number 2 or your number 1, whatever Watson is. And I watched all these other teams. I'm not there with the Saints. I feel better about Atlanta than I do with the Saints. Seattle got beat yesterday by the Rams. Matthew Stafford looks so damn good.
Without Cooper Kupp.
Now, San Francisco did look really good. Brock Purdy may not become the pumpkin that I predicted. He may be really good. Dallas looked really good. But the Eagles didn't look great. Commanders almost lost to the Cardinals. I think the Packers are a playoff team. I really do.
And again, overreaction Monday, right? If you're a fan of another team, like, oh my God, Packer fans talking about a playoff berth after they beat the worst team in football last year in the Chicago Bears. But the Bears just spent a lot of money in free agency, right? You had a whole offseason to work with Justin Fields to try and make him better. All this hype. Do you know why this felt so good to me? I'll tell you why it felt so good to me. I have never seen as much trash talking crap from Bears fans as I saw on social media for the last 2 months. It was nonstop watching Packer fans and Bear fans fighting, and Bear fans going, it's all done. Aaron Rodgers is gone. It's Justin Fields' time now. Everybody running their mouth about how great Justin Fields was going to be and how they were going to take care of the Packers. And I'm watching this game going, I wonder if I'll see as many Bear fans on Twitter running their mouth as I did prior leading up to this game, because it's clear as day. Not only was Love better, but they have a better football team than the Chicago Bears do. Even with all your free agency additions and Edmonds in the middle and everything they did, they're just a better football team. And I'll take it another step further. They're a much better coached football team in Green Bay than they are in Chicago at this point. And I like Eberflus. I like him a lot. I think he's a good coach. You know, he was in Indianapolis as defensive coordinator. As a head coach, don't know. I have no idea. I mean, they were awful last year, clearly. But they're going to have to make significant changes down there as far as philosophy goes if they're going to take a step forward. For you, if you harped on A.J. Dillon, right?
He's not good.
As far as, okay, I didn't like what I saw at A.J. Dillon. I'll tell you what I'm getting sick of. I'm getting sick of Jair Alexander. That's who I'm getting sick of. I am running out of my patience with Jair Alexander.
He's the best player on that side of the ball. What are you talking about?
I don't care. He drives me crazy. Just won't shut up. Talks constantly. Just
he's a corner
all the time. Talking.
Yes,
I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Now, the hit that he made on Justin Fields that started that fight on the sidelines, that was clean. I had no problem with that. I'll tell you what I liked. TJ Slaton. Good job. I know you got flagged, but you came running over to defend your guy who's much smaller as he was on the opposing sidelines to go over there and try and make sure Alexander didn't end up in something he can get himself out of. So I like that. Even though he got flagged, I liked it. And then what happens? Now they're running off the field. And what happens, Ryan? He's still running his mouth. Alexander gets shoved by DJ Moore. DJ Moore, the vet, who should have obviously kept his cool, but Alexander got in there. So in that instance, Alexander's mouth benefited the Packers because then they got offsetting penalties instead of just getting flagged for Slaton. And I don't know.
I like trash talk. I love Jair, so I can't join you on that one.
The trash talk drives me nuts. It just absolutely drives me nuts.
Same here, but here we'll talk about some good sportsmanship then. How about Justin Fields getting Jordan Love's mom some tickets so she didn't have to sit in Egypt again? That was, I thought, a really classy move, right?
No doubt.
Also, really quick, another reason that you could be so excited about the Packers, though, is yesterday, I mean, you would consider Eric Stokes to be a pretty good player, right? He was a first-round pick, and he's cornerback number 2. He's not even on the field yet. Christian Watson is probably going to be 25-30% of your offense, even when he's not touching the football, just because of game planning for Christian Watson. He wasn't even on the field, and you hung how many points? 38 on the Bears? Yeah. That's why I'm saying, man, like, there's a lot of reason for optimism.
And Jayden Reed.
Hey, and if you like gamble, if you're a betting man, a lot of people like Green Bay. Against Atlanta, they opened up as 1.5-point dogs. I'm looking at this right now. That's down to pick. That's huge. That just blew through a key number. That means that a lot of professional gamblers like Green Bay this week in Atlanta. That's kind of surprising because we know that defense struggles against tight ends and against the run. And Atlanta has we think a good tight end in Kyle Pitts. I think the jury's still out there, but we know they got a run game. Algier scored 2 touchdowns yesterday. Bijan was really good yesterday. They're using
people miss all over the place.
Patterson wasn't even active. You were right there. He might be the
he was hurt. Out. Yeah, he was hurt. He's been hurt for a couple of weeks. Let me ask you this: you're a betting guy. BetMGM tonight, right? You make a lot of money. I don't gamble. How much of a week-to-week matchup in the NFL is simply best quarterback? How much of it just comes down to best quarterback? In the NBA, in a playoff series, best player in the series, normally their team wins. That's normally how it is in the NBA. For the NFL, is it just that simple? Best quarterback normally wins?
No. I'm going to say no, just because, like, historically, then Aaron Rodgers would have a bunch of Super Bowl rings. I think Aaron Rodgers.
Don't they cover games he's in or whatever the case may be when you're talking about gambling?
No, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback to ever live. He's not great against the spread, though, because the Chiefs are always overvalued because of him, like 8.5, 9-point spreads. Hell, like, look at even that game against Detroit closed at 5.5, 5, whatever it closed at. So, no, I mean, I would say Justin Herbert's the better quarterback than Tua, although I don't know, man. And Tua beat him yesterday.
That Charger defense, where were they? I drafted the Charger defense in fantasy. Okay, great defense. Here we go. They were horrible.
They were awful, man. They were really bad, and Kellen Moore was really bad.
You don't say. Your boy Kellen Moore. McCarthy's offense was running easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If I'm Kellen Moore, I'm probably in a bar last night until like 3, 4 a.m. feeling really bad about myself. They had a 4-point lead in the fourth quarter, right? And it's 3rd and 1. And they actually put Justin Fields, they ran him out of empty with nobody in the backfield. Why you wouldn't run the ball with Austin Eckler or at least have the threat of running makes absolutely no sense. And then Miami gets the ball back and wins the game. So Kellen Moore got a little too cute. Maybe that's his issue. Yeah, Mike McCarthy last night was great, though. It helps, though, when the defense,
dominant.
Just dominant, man. Like, they look so damn good. Diggs looked really good.
In the fourth quarter, you're like, okay, it's over. And they're still killing people. Guy gets the ball over the Giants. Wham! Down he goes. The dude's just standing over him. I'm like, oh, my God. And they were playing in a rainstorm. And that wasn't dry conditions. That offense had to play with all kinds of rain pouring on them. And they just absolutely throttled the Giants. One last thing on the way out here. I never changed my little graphic on the video. Sorry, YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
What other NFL game stood on week 1? We've talked about a lot of games already. What about the Bengals? That Bengals-Browns game. What happened? Okay, fine. Maybe Deshaun Watson and the Browns will be better, but I don't think anybody saw Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense struggling that much. You said the Cleveland defense was going to be better.
I told you guys all that was going to happen. So Joe Burrow's not fully healthy. Zach Taylor's game plan was to lean on Joe Mixon in the run. And the Browns spent a bunch of money on their defensive line, and I like all their pickups that they made. So the offense didn't even have to do a whole lot against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow just did not look comfortable yesterday. That one didn't surprise me. What surprised me was how good Matthew Stafford looked yesterday for the Rams. They beat everybody's darling team in the NFC, the Seattle Seahawks. Defense looked good. At one point, Geno Smith had tears in his eyes when Aaron Donald was coming at him, and he was like, that was awesome to see. But Matthew Stafford yesterday with Puka and Van Jefferson and a bunch of no-name dudes looked awesome. Looked really good. I don't think you can run the Rams off, man. I don't think Sean McVay comes back to coach a 5-win team. He doesn't skip out on all that broadcast money and his beautiful wife. He wanted to go back because I think he thinks he could still win games. San Francisco looked really good in the NFC. Eagles didn't look very good. Defensively, they looked all right, but they were playing the Patriots. I think they might take a step back. I like Dallas.
Remember about Philly, and nobody's talking about it. They have 2 new coordinators. Both those coordinators left. So they have 2 new coordinators. And you can say whatever you want about coaching, but that does mean something when you start talking about calling plays on offense and defense throughout the course of a game. That does come into play, I would think, Ryan.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, man. The Eagles had a lot of turnover. And they got a lot of young guys now on the defensive side of the ball. They lost some guys. You lose a guy like Shane Steichen, like you said, Jonathan Gannon. So, I expect some regression from Philadelphia. They should still be good, though. Don't get me wrong. They should still win 10, 11 games. And then in the AFC, Tua and the Dolphins looked really good, and they're not even fully healthy yet, especially in that secondary. Jalen Ramsey hasn't even shown up fully healthy yet. So they had Eli Apple starting. They look good. They beat the Chargers. It was just a wild day of football, man. But I think the biggest takeaway in the NFC has to be how good Dallas looked. And I get it was Daniel Jones and the Giants, but that was a playoff team, and that's a really good offensive mind in Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka, who had a whole summer to prepare for a really good defense, and they got shut out 40-0. And that wasn't a game of Madden. The offense looked good. More Tony Pollard, no Zeke. Dak's not going to throw 15 interceptions again. My favorite bet coming into the season was Dak under 12.5 interceptions. He's going to clean that up. And I like Dak. Why does Dak always have to? It's like that's the lazy thing to do in the NFL at the end of the year is blame the quarterback. Oh, Dak's never going to win a Super Bowl. How the hell do you expect Dak to win a Super Bowl? Like 2 years ago, the final play call of the season is a quarterback draw with no timeouts. Last year, the final play call of the season, Ezekiel Elliott, a washed-up running back, direct snapped him the ball and got blown off the line of scrimmage. Like,
yep.
You know what I mean?
He is Ryan Horvat. BetMGM tonight, Steve Sparky Fifer. Follow Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Horvat. You can follow me at Sparky Radio. Talk to you again on Wednesday with the Orlando Ledbetter of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Look ahead to Packers and Falcons.